After my video yesterday about the corrupt EU leadership went a little bit viral, even some of my hardcore haters started admitting it. The EU leadership is in shambles. The EU keeps presenting itself as the great defender of Ukraine, the moral backbone of the war. They stand at the podiums, rehearse their lines, pose in front of cameras like seasoned statesmen. But when you look at the actual commitment behind the words, the whole illusion collapses. Here's the truth. Not one major EU country has deployed combat troops to Ukraine. No EU government has committed its fighter jets to fly combat missions either. And yes, they are sending weapons and ammunition, but nowhere near the scale that they brag about. It's minuscule in comparison to the rhetoric. They talk big, they act small. And that's exactly why the world doesn't take them seriously. They give speeches about saving Ukraine, yet refuse to put anything on the line themselves. They want the war, but they want someone else to fight and bleed for it. The USA, the Balkans, the Baltics, the Slavic countries. They keep pushing this to spend these frozen Russian assets or American taxpayer money or some imaginary future fund, anything except for their own budgets. Why? Because most of Europe simply doesn't have the money anymore anyway. Their economies are weakening. Their industries, they're shrinking. And their governments, they're drowning in corruption and scandals. Then came the big moment yesterday. They were counting on Russia's frozen assets, billions to keep the Ukraine funded and to patch their own collapsing economies. And the European Central Bank, they said no, game over. Then the arrests and the investigations into the EU leadership for fraud. And now the EU is left carrying a war they pushed for but can no longer afford and can no longer justify. That's why they're scrambling. That's why their tone has shifted a little bit. And that's one of many reasons why they weren't invited into the peace conversations, because everyone can finally see what I've been saying from the very beginning. They're not serious players. They're not strategists. They're not leaders. They're figureheads. Political actors, reading scripts written by people who never live with the consequences. Meanwhile, Moscow is laughing, not because of the war, but because Europe keeps proving leaders are all just posture and zero power. And now we're seeing something even more alarming. NATO leaders openly discussing preemptive strikes as defense. Think about that. At the same time, they claim that they're protecting Ukraine. They're discussing the kind of escalatory moves that could drag half the world into the conflict. And on top of that, rumors are circulating about a potential large false flag operation designed to break the stalemate and justify a new phase of the war. Whether these rumors are true or not, the fact that people even believe these and talk about it tells you everything about the credibility of these leaders. It's incredible to hear this coming from the very same EU voices that say we need to save Ukraine while doing absolutely nothing that would actually save anyone. And let me be clear about one more thing. Putin made the decision that started this phase of the conflict. That's on him. But the EU's incompetence and corruption helped turn a regional crisis into a global disaster. So if we're going to talk about responsibility, we have to be honest enough to share it across the board. If you want respect on the world stage, your actions have to match your words. And Europe's words are the only thing they bring to the table. So yes, it's time to call their bluff. Because a continent that can't fund a war, can't fight a war, and can't negotiate peace has no business pretending it's running the show or anything for that matter. And in the middle of this political theater, it's the Ukrainians who continue suffering. The mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters who go to work every day just trying to survive. They're the ones we should be supporting, not the endless military effort. And for the people out there driven by understandable anti-Russian anger, let me ask you this. No matter how much you despise Putin, how many more Ukrainian families are you willing to sacrifice in the name of that hate? It's time to drop the emotional triggers and return to reality. We need leadership rooted in service, responsibility, and truth. We need citizen-servant leaders willing to take our countries back, restore real direction, and secure a safe future, including for Ukraine. It's your turn. It's our turn. Let's go. Join me on Patreon for more.